So to wrap up this introductory overview of patterns, I'd like to kind of step back and try to put all the pieces together for you. So first and foremost, achieving mastery of software development requires continuous repetition, continuous practice, and perhaps most importantly, mentoring from people who've been there before. And if you think about what patterns are all about, and patterns from the point of view of the books and the webinars and other ways of learning about this stuff, these are ways for other people who've been there, done that, solved the problems, taken home the trophy, got the program to work, got the system to sell, taking a time to document their experience so that other people coming up down the same road won't have to spend as much time cutting themselves with the sharp edges, frightening themselves with the dark corners, and having to suffer through the painful trial and error experiences that often occur when you're learning to do software. Patterns codify software experience and support design at a more abstract level than code. And a great example of this is the observer pattern, where you could have this pattern implemented in C++, in C#, in Java, in JavaScript, in Python, name your favorite language. Undoubtedly, there's an observer pattern implementation in it. And all of those incarnations may be different at the detailed level, but they're the same pattern. And so what we like to say there is that you can think about design as design, not design obscured by the differences between different programming language features and different language communities and so on. Just to emphasize again, patterns are more than just about objects. You can do patterns in functional programming. You can apply patterns in generic programming, such as the C++ standard template library, which has a whole slew of super cool Gang of Four patterns like iterator, like strategy, like factory method, and so on and so forth, that you'll find all throughout the use of STL and C++. Something else that patterns allow us to do is they can treat these class and object interactions as cohesive conceptual units. And these allow us to form the building blocks for more powerful pattern relationships. So we can start thinking about sequences of patterns or compound patterns or pattern languages. It wouldn't make any sense to have a pattern language or a pattern sequence without the patterns as the building blocks. Just in the same way as it wouldn't make any sense to have great works of literature without grammar and syntax and vocabulary words. So we have to think of these things as building blocks to go on and do more expressive things once we master the beginning parts. Some other nice things that patterns buy for us is they are ideal targets for design and implementation refactoring. So patterns like the adapter pattern, wonderful for refactoring. Patterns like facade pattern, wrapper facade, great for refactoring. Patterns like publisher subscriber, observer, great for refactoring. So if you've got a bunch of software and you're kind of getting yourself programmed into a corner by too many dependencies and too tight coupling, applying these patterns can be crucially important to help make it more effective. You could also apply patterns to all the phases in the software lifecycle. We tend to focus in this course primarily on patterns for software design and detailed design and implementation. But there's also patterns for analysis, there's patterns for doing design reviews, there's patterns for optimization, there's patterns for testing and documentation, there's patterns for refactoring. So it's really a whole life cycle approach, not a method per se, but it's really an augmentation or an enhancement to other methods. As a general rule of thumb, you should seek generality, but don't waste your time trying to brand everything as a pattern. Plenty of things in life are algorithms, plenty of things in life are data structures, plenty of things in life are just good old source code. We don't have to think about them as patterns. If you can find a number of uses, enough uses to demonstrate repeated, recurring applicability and generality, then it's worth thinking about them as patterns. But what I recommend you do is start by watching the videos in this webinar series, learning from what I put forward, going and exploring the many links that are in the various slides that come along with this, and then build upon this to go further in your own work to start identifying patterns in the domain that you work in, and then become a more effective master software developer.